What happens when Islamic theology faces an unstoppable logical challenge? Muhammad Hijab thought he could dodge the issue, but young Bob wasn't letting him off the hook. Muslims claim Allah is absolutely one, yet they also say His attributes are not equal to His essence. That means Allah isn't simple. He's made of parts. And if He's made of parts, then Tawheed, Islam's core doctrine, completely collapses. Who walked away victorious? Watch now and decide for yourself. And as usual, I will share 3 things I learned from the video. Let's dive in.
So you reject divine simplicity, the concept that all of the attributes within God is identical to Himself. Premise 2, you say that the attributes of God are less than the whole itself. Conclusion 1, therefore your God is composite. Conclusion 3.
Why does that follow?
Because if He is composed of things that are less than the whole itself, therefore we can pick out things which are going to be really distinct from Him, which are less than Him, which means that they're going to be things that are comprising Himself.
Now say that again,
Okay.
Say it again.
So what we
Premise 1, you said that
you reject divine simplicity.
So hold on.
Now, I want to make this very clear.
This
discussion is not going to be Muhammad Hijab saying, what is this, define this.
All right.
It's going to be that he literally said in his refutation of divine simplicity that he understood the argument and it's weak. So he knows it, don't be disingenuous and don't play a definition game because I'm really not here for it, mate. So you know what I'm saying. So don't be disingenuous to yourself.
All right.
Continue.
All right. So he is attempting. Here's the thing. I've heard it very clearly, and I can tell you for a fact I've been doing philosophy for a very long time. And I'll tell you what, he has not actually put together an argument.
Okay.
He has put together. Wait, hold on. I can tell you that I've heard him twice now because I wouldn't have said this unless I heard it twice. He said, you believe in such and such, therefore such and such. That's not how a syllogism works at all. That's, by the way, with all due respect, no, that's not how it works. No, it's not. You don't know how to construct a syllogism, okay? You can't say you believe in this, therefore this. Doesn't work like that. It has to be, okay, so you're going to start from a general, go into a specific. Hold on. You have done a bad job in creating an argument.
Listen.
Okay, hold on. Let me speak.
Is he being timed?
You spoke.
Are you being timed right now? Is he being timed right now? Is he being timed right now?
Time me.
Okay, time it. Because here's the thing. I don't like when people transition time to untimed discussions because you just want to have the talking because you think you're the main man.
Okay, all right. Do you want to press the button? All right, start again, because I haven't started yet. See, the Hijab, hold on, don't get involved. You ran away. Don't get involved. One at a time. Oh, do you need 2 on 1? Is that how it needs to be?
Are you for 2 on 1?
I can't speak to 2 people at a time. I can't speak. It's not physically possible to speak to 2 people at a time.
Stop obfuscating, alright? Let him go.
Right, so are you ready, yeah? Okay. So, let's start with the first thing he said, which is the only thing really intelligible that he said, which is that the proposition of divine simplicity indicates that when you say that something is an attribute of God, it's saying that that's identical to the essence of God. That is what the Mu'tazilis believe, by the way, and that is what Thomas Aquinas believed.
Do you believe in
hold on.
I'm just speaking to myself.
No, don't get involved in my conversation, yeah? I know you're trying to get rude. Don't get involved.
Him and me.
Yeah, so the point is that if that's the case, you have to admit today that God is not love. You know why? Because if God is love, is identical to the essence, God's love is also identical to what? To the law of identity is also identical to His knowledge. So God's love is God's knowledge, and God's knowledge is God's power. You must admit to this. And if that's the case, you believe in a God without attributes. You are, as many Christians would say, pretty much an atheist, because you believe in a deistic God, a non-personal God, a God that can't love, a God that can't be merciful, a God that can't be powerful, a God that, because these things, these descriptors and attributes, when you say that God's power is identical to His essence, if God's power is identical to His essence and His knowledge is identical to His power, it follows God's power is God's knowledge. It follows God's power is God's love. It follows God's power is God's compassion, and so on and so forth. Therefore, you have to admit today that you don't believe in a God that loves. Go ahead and do it.
Okay, so is that you conceding time? Okay, good. So Okay, your argument. Okay, so notice how he didn't really respond to the argument, and that we're just moving arguments. I thought we would agree to a structure of we point to one argument, then we point to another once the one has either been refuted or conceded to. But let me entertain it, then also go back to the argument at hand. And why is he looking like he's part of Incredibles right now? We'll never know. So. The first point is that anti-reflex identity does not work within the Trinity. Just as much as, for example, when we say the Son is God, we do not therefore say that whenever we're talking of God, we're talking of the Son, just as much as we say Muhammad's job is human, but when we pick out humanity, we're not talking about Muhammad's job. That is anti-reflex identity, my friend, and it does not work in the case of the Trinity. My second point is again going to be that we can be apathetic about these things within a syllogism. We can say that because you do not believe in X, therefore you're going to have the position which entails Y. If you reject that God is not composed of parts, therefore he is composed of parts. Do you see the point here? If you reject a negative, therefore you're going to affirm the positive, that is that God is composed of parts. Now the reason why you believe in this is because the essence of God is going to be comprised of things which are less than the whole itself.
So he did answer my question. He has not conceded to the fact that if you say that God's power is identical to his essence and his knowledge is identical to his essence, it follows that his knowledge is identical to his power by the law of identity. That is a logical law. In fact, one of the most foundational, propositional, logical laws. He's talking as if he's making some kind of an argument. He's not making an argument. He has not conceded to the fact that on his view of divine simplicity, he must acknowledge that God does not love. God is not loving. When you say God is loving, you're using that as a descriptive. It's not actually talking about something with ontological status within God. So he has to now acknowledge, before we move forward, he has to tell me, yes, when I say God is love, when Christians say God is love, according to divine simplicity, it's not true that he's actually love in an ontologically real sense. It's just some words we say. So that would mean that according to us, God is really love, and according to you, God is not love. So let's make that clear first, and then we can move on to other things. Please go ahead.
You haven't really argued for why the argument follows, right? You're just bringing a case of identity, that being anti-reflex identity, then already assuming it applies to the Trinity, by then saying an arbitrary criteria of this identity being in play is that a universal has to be the thing that we're talking about. Again, don't have to concede to this, you have to argue for it. You notice how for someone that was picking out my poor debating skills, he already runs from an assumption, from an argument he's already ran away from. He ran away initially from an argument against composition, then ran to my position whilst having an argument that assumes a principle of identity to which I don't agree to. So I want Hijab to argue for why this thing actually follows. You were just being apathetic and saying it's not in the case of a genus, therefore it has to be in the case of a particular, for example, that anti-reflex identity does follow. I want him to argue this. You just said I can't play on negatives in order to pose a positive, therefore he has to do the exact same thing within his argument. Now again, why does he keep on posing? I want to know.
The point I'm making to you is now, we've said this and he tried to defend it and he has no defense. Because the thing is, he's in a dilemma. If he says that these are actual attributes with an ontological status, then he affirms the kind of composition he wishes to deny. If he says they're not, then he actually falls into a kind of collapse of attributes, which leads to not believing in any of the attributes, including God's love, which means you can't, as Christians, say that God is love. Now, Muslims can say it, so that's, I don't know why you haven't admitted it. Number one. Number two is this, it gets even worse when you go into the Trinity. Do you know why? Because if you say that the Father is God, the Son is God, and the Holy Spirit is God, in that sense, if they are all God in distinct personas, as they say, and as Gregory of Nyssa and Gregory of Nazianzus and his Cappadocian authorities say, I don't know how it could be the case. How could it be the case that you believe in 3 in 1 and 1 in 3, but you don't believe in parts of God? It's absolutely ridiculous to postulate that. You don't believe in, you believe in no composition, but you believe in a Trinity. Try and square the circle for me, my friend.
Time is out.
Okay, so again, and he's brought up the essence as it pertains to the substantiations, i.e. the persons. So Hijab, please answer this question in my time. Hijab, are you equal to humanity? Are you a human? Do you want to answer me?
Yes.
Because I can, okay, he's running this argument. The Son is God. God, therefore, is the Son. The Son is not the Father, because then you either lead into composition or you lead to polytheism. Although we reject polytheism, we say there's one God, therefore it leads into composition. But I want to ask him this, and this makes very perfect sense. Hijab is a human. JC is a human. Is JC Muhammad Hijab? No. Because there's a thing called anti-reflex identity, which I've been begging for him, like all the children that he wants to say can marry adults, for him to say that why does this not work in the case of yourself but works in the case of the Trinity? Please!
So, what did we learn today? 3 critical takeaways from this debate. First, Allah's attributes in Islamic theology are not equal to His essence, meaning Allah is composite, and a composite being can't be truly one. That's a massive problem for Tawheed. Second, Muhammad Hijab tried to shift the focus to Christianity's divine simplicity, but his objection was based on a misunderstanding. If God's love is His essence, that doesn't mean His love is identical to His power. It means both are fully God, without division. Third, Hijab couldn't escape the real issue. Islam's view of Allah's attributes introduces complexity, making Him dependent on His parts. And that's a direct contradiction to Islam's monotheism. If Allah isn't simple, is He really one? Think about it. Drop a comment below, do you agree? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more hard-hitting debates.